By no means iPhone XR is a budget phone if you consider this or my favorite OnePlus. Because OnePlus is a company which is doing what Apple has been doing in a closed ecosystem but in a large open ecosystem, where OnePlus has launched a premium smartphone. Let's see what it means if Apple launched a toned down version of its flagship. iPhone XR is in my sense a better phone for a lot of people than the iPhone XS Max could ever be. For $750, it is far better value than a $1,000 iPhone XS. And for $250 less, you're getting what I think is a really good phone. And what you aren't is an OLED panel, a second telephoto lens, and I guess that's about it. So by no means I'm paid to say this, and even if it sounds, it's just because of the phone that Apple made. So the build quality is top notch. There is no downgrade in the build quality itself if we compare to similar priced phones. Where Apple made the iPhone XS with stainless steel, this phone is glued on 7000 aerospace grade aluminum, which I think is almost but not equally as good in terms of durability. Otherwise, this is also a glass sandwich phone, and touching this phone from almost all sides will scream premiumness. You just won't complain anything about the build quality, but still it is seen to be a downgrade to very strong stainless steel. Buttons feel really steady as you would expect from an iPhone, and other aspects of the phone also show a high level engineering has been done. Still, just like any other glass phone, we can expect it to break right after a single drop, so I guess it's not a huge deal. For the design, being a minimalist myself, I enjoy having different finishes because in the end you'll have the option to either go for a crazy banana style color or just to have a subtle look by either having black or white. Design wise, it just have noticeably bigger bezels, which I think is not that big of a deal until I myself look at to an iPhone X because it almost feel like that they aren't there. Otherwise, phone feels almost as good and it is really capable in terms of its performance. I personally don't want to have a very thick brick in my pocket all the time, so I prefer having a thin smartphone, and now the iPhone XR is a little bit thicker than the iPhone X, as well as just because it has that LCD display which is quite thicker than the iPhone X's OLED panel. Now it almost feels like that I have applied a case on my iPhone X and it is that thick. In terms of the design, there is nothing more to talk about other than its bigger bezels. LCD display of this iPhone, in my perspective, is really good. Apple has done quite a job, and even though it doesn't look like a $750 phone that could have been made by any other company like Samsung or OnePlus, still, it is one of the best phones you can get right here because it is simple and minimal and it doesn't have fancy shines or finishes to show off. In terms of the display, I think that it is one of the best LCD displays that have been made to date. Not because of its resolution, which are almost outdated as you can think. Its pixels per inch density is almost as bad as it could be because they're only 326 pixels per inch and it is exact same as the iPhone 4. But it doesn't mean the display is bad. I just want it to be a little more sharp because I'm the kind of guy who is a pixel peeper and I just want my phone to be as sharp as it could be. However, it is very livable. The display is actually very good. It is very bright. It can be seen in direct sunlight. However, it is not as sharp as the OLED panels of the XS. However, for the most people who are upgrading to the XR are coming either from the iPhone 6, 6s, 7 or the 8, so it is not that big of a problem. Apple has made the curved display on the iPhone X, which is very expensive to make, and that's why the iPhone X and XS are over $1,000. This is the reason this phone is now only $750, and for the most people, I think that they won't even notice this kind of a downgrade. But what I think is the main problem, and if we just change the quality on YouTube to a 1080p, it is very difficult for it to show the difference between a 720p video or a 1080p video. Display is actually very good. The colors are on point. The sharpness is very good too. It almost feels like a 1080p display. However, it is just HD+. That means it is a little bit more sharper than a 720p because it is 1928 by 828 panel. Also, the fact that this thing has a very noticeable thicker bezels. Now, if you look at with another iPhone X display, it looks awful. But if we compare it with another Android phone, we had to give kudos on what Apple did. Now, the main problem I have with this display is the fact that it can't play full HD 1080p videos on YouTube. Now, I already told about the resolutions, but let's do math. This phone has 792 by 828 pixels, which means that they are absolutely greater than a typical 720p resolution, which are 1280 by 720. Now, 1080p is a bit higher than the 10R's display, which is 1920 by 1080. This all comes down to, is it beneficial to play a 1080p video on this phone? Yes, and only if you stretch that to full screen. Due to this, if you play a 1080p display in full screen, it looks a bit better and sharp, and this is why I can live with this. For the performance, I think 10R is no slouch, and it is one of the winning factors against the loved iPhone 10. This phone includes Apple's latest and to this date most advanced A12 Bionic chip, which I think in terms of mobile processing can easily put anything under its feet. Now, in day-to-day tasks where iPhone 6s even today performs greatly, this phone is no exception. I've played quite a few titles on this phone, and it has kept its paces. Now, this is truly one of the most efficient chips in a phone, so it heats up to an insignificant level, which by no means make this untouchable. Also, this can easily be used to do tasks like video editing, either using iMovie or my beloved LumaFusion. iPhone XR is one of the best choices Apple made. Before looking this phone in person, I thought IPS panel can't be that good, but Apple proved it, and even though it only has 326 pixels per inch, no true blacks, and very unsaturated colors, it is absolutely very sharp, and nobody will ever notice this in day-to-day usage. Playing games like Fortnite, this phone can easily play that on 60 FPS, which is very impressive. Plus the fact that iOS 13 is coming up with controller support, which does mean that it will be a console level gaming experience, and that it is an HD plus panel and not even 1080 means this will easily handle heavy games as output of graphics is low and the silicon is very high. Now, the iOS 13 promises a speed bump up to 30%, which is a significant update in day-to-day usage. Moreover, in my testing, iOS 13 made Face ID on this guy 300% better. At least for me, making it almost as fast as the second gen Touch ID. Apple refined app launching and overall great user interface. This will truly change the way we use the phones. It is really fast. You will seriously think that how did a software update made this much of a difference. Why I think that iPhone XR's camera is better than the one on the XS. Just because it doesn't have the telephoto lens doesn't mean it is not better. For me personally, I think that it is a lot better than the one you can see on the XS because of its aperture. Now, portrait mode on the XS can be good in some lighting conditions, for example in direct sunlight, just because there is a lot of light over there and that lower aperture gets a little help from that. But in darker situations, I don't think portrait mode works that good on the XS if we compare it with the one on the XR. Personally, I don't use camera on my phone that much, but sometimes when I do, I think XR has very good sharpness, colors, plus HDR because of the new Smart HDR feature that Apple has implemented in their latest phones. Also, this phone is actually very good for me personally, because I don't want any extra lens. Now, I miss telephoto lens only because I like to shoot video with 2x optical zoom, which to me personally is not that big of a deal. Thing that it lacks and which I really don't like, because Pixel 3 XL can easily do it. iPhone XR's camera requires a face to be in the frame in order to get the portrait mode effect to work. Now, which iPhone XS can easily do without any problems, as it can easily sense the depth between the object and the phone itself. But still, if we see for $250 less, this phone can easily outlast any other phone in terms of camera except for the Pixel 3 or the Pixel 3 XL, and I think that this is the best camera in an iPhone. The only thing I miss in smartphone cameras is that wide angle lens. I love it too much and I want every phone to include this from now on. And this is my favorite part about this phone. iPhone XR has been made the best battery iPhone ever. iPhone XR has been the best battery phone I ever used. Somehow managed to get A+ hours of screen on time. Some of you may think that I'm lying, but to you I say I am not. This phone has 2942 mAh battery, which may not look like it's one of the biggest out there. Still, iOS optimizations do a pretty good job. Plus, it has the Apple's A12 Bionic chip, which is very efficient. This phone is for me a champ in terms of battery. And I was even more greatly shocked. My LT was on pretty much every second I use this phone. Plus, I don't play heavy games, so this may help quite a bit in terms of power saving. Adding it to the lower resolution of the display, you get the best battery life on the iPhone. So for an average consumer, this phone will easily last you 2 days. Okay, for the Apple loyalists, is it worth getting an iPhone XR, or will you be better off by getting the XS? As a guy who is fully involved in Apple ecosystem by having this, and this, these all work like a family. For example, if I get a call on my main iPhone, which is XR, all of my Apple products get the call, even if it's the another iPhone. For me personally, display is the main thing. Still, I settle with this. Why? iPhone X is an older, while I don't have any problem using that, but it lacks two major things, due to which I spend the same cash on the XR. Where my iPhone XR is physical dual SIMs, meaning it has two physical SIM slots, the iPhone X is single. Yes, not even eSIM. Also battery life. Yes, I'm absolutely disappointed by its display coming from the iPhone X. It's usable for the most part, but I have some complaints with it being the IPS, as I'm deeply spoiled by the true blacks of the OLED and its great contrast. Only if you don't have any problems regarding the display, then this is absolutely a good purchase, because in day-to-day usage, you absolutely will have no problems. And for every other person who can easily switch back and forth with Android and iOS, OnePlus 7 Pro is a really good option. Like, it's far better value for your bucks. Nonetheless, this is a pretty dumb phone. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you guys liked it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe button for more videos like this. My name is Harris, this is Apple Now, and I am signing out.